Captain's Log, Subdate 200521.1. Subfleet have sent word that my sub has been moved, so I need not change course. In fact, they've sent it to catch up with me, and even altered its form to something fitting. Not sure how long it'll take, but I will keep you posted. Welcome everyone to the 37th exhibition of Stupid People. Today I have quite a number of subjects, I think 7, possibly 8. We're going to start by revisiting a story we covered last week, where Oregon State Governor Kate Brown withheld funds that were meant to go to other more rural regions of the state because she wanted to use it cause. She had other plans essentially and made excuses. Budget deficit stuff as well, I believe, not taking into account how vitally important it was for even the more regional, rural counties to get access to some of the money where most of it was going to Portland. Well, as an update to that, Governor Kate Brown has finally acquiesced to the request to distribute some of the funds that were earmarked for them that she had intended for something else. Kate Brown, I'll be surprised if you get re-elected. Just saying, while people are giving you praise for how you're handling COVID-19, those people are few in number. So now let's go to the presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden, who has, upon being asked what he thinks about Donald Trump and coronavirus government aid, has a few opinions, where he has decided to call him President Tweety because Donald Trump likes to use Twitter. When I first saw that, granted I did get the Twitter reference, the first thing I thought, Mr. Biden, was a reference to Tweety Pie, which would make you, since you are trying to beat Tweety Pie, Sylvester, who doesn't beat Tweety Pie, which seems oddly correct. Now, Joe Biden's reasoning for this commentary about him being on Twitter a lot is because Trump is sitting on the money small businesses need, because Trump wants to reopen the country, and US Democrats take a different position, which we can handily segue onto, because the Congressional House has passed a $3 trillion coronavirus relief fund, which is the most expensive bill in history according to Fox News. The Democrats in this hailed it as unprecedented response that was needed to deal with the pandemic and its economic fallout. This passed by 208 votes to 199, with 14 Democrats defying the party to vote no, while one Republican, Representative Pete King of New York, voted yes. Pelosi is very proud of this, very happy, because they did something monumental for the Americans. Well, it's interesting to note, because it's passed by Congress doesn't mean it'll get through the Senate and doesn't mean the President will sign off on it. In fact, he's already threatened to veto it. My mentality of this is, the Democrats wrote this on their own. My view is you should always seek to work with those you disagree with, because then you can all work in the best interest of the people instead of saying, well, I know better than you, cause. I tried desperately over the years to understand your political system, but essentially it boils down to party lines, which does occasionally happen in British politics, but not like this. This act has been dubbed the Heroes Act, by the way. The legislation includes $915 billion in state and local aid that could prevent layoffs of public workers, $200 billion Heroes Fund for hazard pay for essential workers, $100 billion for K-12 and higher education, and $75 billion for coronavirus testing. Now there's more to that, of course, for mortgages and rent, student loans, and expanding checks to certain undocumented immigrants. Where Pelosi has dubbed this a strategically planned piece of legislation, she's right. It's intended to make Trump look bad. Just let him do his own thing and he'll look bad on his own. You doing this just makes you look like the biggest overspending virtue signalers on the planet. It's surprising how childish those who are the highest up on both sides are, and how you just don't want to work together. That is tragic. And to prove the point of your president making himself look a little stupid, all we have to do is look at the fact he opened up about taking hydroxychloroquine, which is a malaria drug that has shown to yield positive results when tackling COVID-19. I don't need to go any further into that though. It's silly on the face of it. Should we talk about a rapper now? Let's talk about a rapper. Let's talk about the rapper, and I'm going to say this how it's spelt, 6x9ein. I know I've said that wrong. Don't care. Recently released from prison because he has asthma and therefore is considered high risk for coronavirus. He's under house arrest. He, of course, being the genius that he is, kind of doxed his location, so he got moved. Now, he recently made a $200,000 or £163,000 real money donation to a children's charity called the No Kid Hungry campaign. Well, they decided to reject his money. The reason why is, while others have dubbed this cruel, it's because of his past not fitting in with the values of the charity. My view, and I have to be consistent, is I don't care where money comes from as long as it goes to charity. But I can understand for the sake of optics why the No Kid Hungry campaign would reject his money because of his time when in a gang where he evaded on charges which include child sex offences from 2015. Part of me thought there were two reasons why they rejected it, and it wasn't that, because I didn't know about it. In fact, I had thought it was because he flashed the money in the photos that got his location doxed, and also because, let's face it, no one likes a grass. Since his donation was rejected, he has deleted the Instagram posts that were connected to it, and has instead focused his ire on Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande for music stuff, I don't know, chart nonsense. Does anyone care? No. Moving on from that, I'd like to talk about a film called The Trouble with Being Born. This film was programmed as part of Berlinale 2020, which is the annual film festival held in Berlin, Germany. The film contains a childlike android played by Lena Watson, who's 10, who is seen calling her owner Daddy. Throughout the movie, while there is no graphic depiction of intercourse between the man and the girl sex bot, the implications are quite clear within it. The android role was originally written for a 20-year-old actor, but after removing some of the more explicit elements, director Sandra Wallner decided to cast a child. Many people have dubbed this paedophile propaganda. Sandra Wallner's excuses would include, what I found interesting about it is that we have an android whose only desires are the ones you program it to have. I found it fascinating to show the perspective of the world through this machine that does not judge and does not care and does not need the meanings that we do. It should be noted, there is currently a child sex bot trade that has been gaining steam in recent years. Some have been arguing that laws need to be created to prevent these things from existing in their countries. A number of studies also conclude that child sex robots reinforce paedophile behaviour, because even if real children are not involved in the production of these dolls and the robots, they could be harmed thereafter by users of these objects. And I tend to agree, this movie is a terrible idea, and understandably when people walked out and there was backlash against it, yeah, it made sense. You should be ashamed of yourself, Sandra Wallner. This is not a good look for you. Should we talk about Kim Jong-Un now? The glorious leader who may or may not be dead. Let's talk about Kim Jong-Un. As many would know, Kim Jong-Un, much like his siblings, went to boarding schools in Bern, Switzerland in the 1990s. He and his siblings were given everything, every opportunity to be the very best Koreans they could ever be by ensuring no one else in Korea got anything, therefore by default they got everything. Well, Kim Jong-un was hauled from school, much like his siblings, because Kim Jong-il was a tad concerned that his children would be led astray by Western children and Western values. But that wasn't why Kim Jong-un got hauled, because if anyone remembers the 90s, you couldn't just do this on your phone. You couldn't just have a tablet. You didn't have some random PDA device or a Kindle to hand. Nothing like that could then allow you to peruse your favoritist in the whole wide world prawn. Well, Kim Jong-un was attending the boarding school, but sent home after spies informed Kim Jong-il that his son had been caught with a kinky magazine stuffed in his school bag. Because of that, all 4 of the children were sent home. What was in the magazine, you ask? It was some top-tier BDSM, mate. Well, top tier for the 90s. Granted, this is just an interesting story, a tidbit, a lovely anecdote. I just wanted to point and say, You are just as bad as everyone else, Kim Jong-un. How dare you deprive your people of the same debauchery and filth that you yourself enjoyed in the 90s. I guess now we should move on to the more pressing subject of the video, because I only have the one left, but it's one that I didn't realise until more came out was a lot more damaging than anything else. On Twitch there is a user called Ferociously Steph. Now I didn't know this name until last night, because I was streaming on Twitch and I had someone look her up for me because I forgot her name. Link to my Twitch down below because I'm streaming there tonight. Ferociously Steph was going to feature in tomorrow's This Week at Twitter for this little video here.
Thank you.
Because it's just amusing to me and really cringy. What I didn't know at the time was, Steph here features on Twitch's little trusted council, a council they only recently introduced. Now she started in 2016, was one of the first transgender streamers to be partnered on Twitch, and the first to bring a transgender pride flag emote to the platform. Achievement unlocked, congratulations. In her unironic fight for inclusivity, she created a competitive team composed entirely of marginalised gamers. Do you think she sees the irony in that? She vehemently opposes non-inclusive mechanics such as voice chat because apparently only those who are white have access to a microphone. To top that also, by the way, if you're a gamer, you're also a white supremacist.
No, I'm just not cool with white supremacy, y'all. It's really not that. I think a lot of you gamers are actually white supremacists. Sorry. Just a fact.
But not all white supremacists, just those that disagree with me are white supremacists. She's also bragged about using and abusing the power she has.
We're gonna eat you. Yeah, we're gonna ban you from my stream. Then you're never gonna come back unless you spend more time making a second account, but we'll ban that too. You better watch out! Because I'm pretty cool, and you can't get rid of me. Twitch is endorsing me.
But she's not a mod. She's on an advisory council, which means she knows people who have the power, which means she can in fact abuse her own privileged position to cause irreparable harm to a lot of people, and that is not acceptable. Ferociously Steph, you are a bad person. You are a bad person because you have the power and you choose, you kind of have the power and you would knowingly still use that kind of power to hurt people cause your feels are so damn important. You have tried to downplay this since it all came out, tried to find ways to look for an excuse, but your best one was, if you disagree with me, you're a white supremacist. That's not an excuse. That's bad form from somebody who opened their mouth and didn't realise the nonsense that came out hadn't been processed by their brain first. Might I recommend installing in your brain a QA department? Because drivel like that is absolutely disgusting. And the fact you're on an advisory council that nobody wanted in the first place is absolutely laughable.